Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really tackling a fascinating subject: habit formation, habit change. It's all sparked by James Clear's audiobook, Atomic Habits.
Yeah, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. And our goal, really, in this deep dive is to pull out the actionable stuff, the surprising insights about how these, like, tiny shifts can lead to genuinely big changes.
Practical application, that's the key. For anyone thinking about improving health, work, whatever.
Right. And to get us started thinking about that small changes, big impact thing, remember that story about the British cycling team?
Oh, yeah. For like 100 years they were. Well, pretty average, weren't they? Just one Olympic gold.
Exactly. Then this guy, Dave Brailsford, comes along with this idea: aggregation of marginal gains. Basically, just finding tiny, tiny 1% improvements in, well, everything.
Everything. Like what sort of things?
Well, that's what's so wild. It was things like figuring out the best way for cyclists to wash their hands to avoid colds, finding the perfect pillow for optimal sleep.
Halos. Seriously.
Seriously. Yeah. Even painting the inside of the team truck white so they could spot tiny bits of dust that might affect the bike mechanics. Just these seemingly insignificant details.
And the results were staggering, weren't they?
Totally. Just 5 years after Brailsford started, 2008 Olympics, the Brits just dominated, won something like 60% of the gold medals available in road and track cycling, then multiple Tour de France wins.
Wow. It's a perfect real-world case for this whole atomic habits idea, then.
Couldn't be better. It shows how these tiny things, these atomic habits, just stack up.
Okay, so let's dig into that term, atomic habits. Clear says they're like the small parts of bigger systems.
Yeah, exactly. Like the building blocks, the atoms of remarkable results. They're the fundamental actions that, when you repeat them, lead to something significant.
He uses the analogy of compound interest, right? But for like self-improvement.
Precisely. Just like money compounds, the effects of your habits multiply. Day to day, one good habit or one bad one doesn't seem like much.
Right, hardly notice it.
But over months, years, the impact becomes huge. He has this great calculation.
Yeah.
Get 1% better each day, and in a year, you're nearly 37 times better.
37 times, that's massive.
It is. But the flip side is true too. Get 1% worse each day, and you decline, like significantly, down almost to zero.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. This concept he talks about, the plateau of latent potential.
Ah, yes. That's crucial. Think of ice, right? At 29, 30, 31 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still ice. You're adding heat, effort, but nothing looks like it's changing.
Yeah, it feels like you're stuck.
Exactly. Then you hit 32 degrees, just one more degree, and boom, it melts. That tiny final push unlocks this huge transformation.
So the work wasn't wasted before.
Not at all. That's the whole point of the plateau.
Yeah.
Even when you don't see results immediately from building good habits, the effort isn't gone. It's being stored up, building potential under the surface.
Like energy building.
Precisely. Those breakthrough moments. They're often the result of all that previous unseen work finally hitting a tipping point.
That explains why it's so easy to get discouraged then. You expect linear progress, step by step.
But often it's not like that. There's this lag phase. It feels like nothing's happening, even though you're putting in the work.
So if you're working on a new habit feeling stuck, it might just be that plateau you haven't broken through yet.
Right. Keep going. You need to stay consistent long enough for that compounding effect to really kick in.
And Clear makes this other really key distinction. It's about focusing on systems, not just goals.
Oh, absolutely. Goals are good, don't get me wrong. They give you direction, tell you where you're heading.
Sure.
But the systems, the daily routines, the habits, that's what actually drives the progress. Think about it. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals.
That's true. So what separates them?
Their systems, the processes they follow day in, day out.
Yeah.
Achieving a goal, well, that's often a moment, a change that happens once.
Right, like crossing a finish line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But a good system, a collection of positive daily habits, that leads to sustained improvement. It's ongoing. He even asks, if you ignored your goals entirely but just focused on improving your systems, would you still get results?
And the answer is probably yes, right?
Almost certainly, yeah. The system drives the outcome.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How do habits shape our identity and vice versa? Clear talks about 3 levels of change: outcome, process, and identity. Which one's the powerhouse?
Oh, identity, hands down. It's the deepest level. Think about it. Outcome change is what you get. Lose weight, say.
Okay.
Process change is what you do. Go to the gym 3 times a week.
Got it.
But identity change, that's about who you believe you are. Seeing yourself as, say, a healthy person, that's where the real lasting change happens.
So habits are like votes for the person you want to be.
That's exactly how Clear puts it. Every action you take casts a vote, reinforcing that desired identity. Or, well, detracting from it. He tells that story about Brian Clark, the entrepreneur, really focusing on shifting his underlying identity first.
It's not just about doing something, it's about becoming someone.
Yes, becoming a reader, not just reading a book.
Yeah.
Becoming a runner, not just going for a run. Becoming a musician, not just practicing scales.
That makes sense. Because it's hard to stick to habits if your underlying beliefs are fighting against them, right?
Incredibly hard. Your actions tend to just reflect your identity. People who genuinely identify as voters, they're much more likely to actually vote.
And the opposite, self-limiting beliefs, that negative self-talk, that reinforces an identity you don't want.
Precisely. Which makes it tougher to adopt habits that contradict that self-image.
So these small habits, these atomic habits, they're like evidence, proof of the new identity you're building.
Exactly. You finish a book, maybe another. You start thinking, maybe I am a reader. You hit the gym consistently. Yeah, I'm someone who values fitness. It's subtle, but so powerful.
Okay, so understanding that link between habits and identity, that leads us right into his framework, the 4 laws of behavior change. Law number 1 is about the cue. Make it obvious.
Yep. Let's dig in. So every habit, Clear says, follows 4 stages. Cue, craving, response, reward.
Cue, craving, response, reward.
Got it. The cue is the trigger. It tells your brain, okay, time to initiate this behavior. Our minds are constantly scanning for these cues, things that have predicted a reward in the past.
And cues can be internal, like a feeling, or external, like seeing something.
Both. Feeling restless. Cue to check your phone, see cookies on the counter, cue to eat one. Back in the day, it was cues for, food, water, danger, primary rewards.
Survival stuff.
Right. Now, we still respond to those, but also to cues for secondary rewards, social approval, status, novelty online, all that stuff.
He uses that example from Japan's railways, the pointing and calling.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Staff literally point at signals, indicators, and call out what they see. Signal's green.
Seems almost childishly simple.
It does, but it drastically cut down errors by making the cues impossible to miss. It forces awareness.
So how do we apply that? Making cues obvious for our habits.
Well, one really effective way is using implementation intentions. Basically, planning exactly when and where you'll act.
Like a formula.
Yeah, the format is, when situation X happens, I will perform response Y. So instead of I'll exercise more, it's when my workday ends at 5:30 p.m., I will immediately change into my running gear and run for 30 minutes around the park.
Super specific, time and location as the cues.
Makes it much harder to ignore. Another great one is habit stacking.
Stacking, how does that work?
Simple formula again. After current habit, I will new habit. Use an existing ingrained habit as the trigger for the new one you want to build.
Piggybacking on existing routines.
Exactly. Like after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately put on my workout clothes.
You can build little chains then.
Totally. Leverage the momentum. Wake up, make bed, drink water, make 5 push-ups. Each action cues the next.
Yeah.
Very effective.
And the last part of making it obvious, designing your environment.
Crucial. Make good habit cues visible, unavoidable. Hide or remove bad habit cues. Remember that hospital cafeteria study?
Or they just move the water.
Yep. Put water bottles everywhere, in prominent spots. Water consumption shot way up. Environment is a powerful, often invisible hand.
Context becomes the cue.
Right. We associate habits with places home, office, gym. Clear suggests trying to have one space for one use. If your kitchen table is for eating, working, and doom scrolling, the cues get blurred. It's harder to switch off or resist temptation.
Makes sense. Okay, law number 2, make it attractive. This is about the craving part.
Exactly. We're way more likely to do things we find appealing, things we anticipate will bring pleasure or satisfaction.
Craving is the engine, basically.
It is. But here's the interesting twist. You don't actually crave the habit itself. You crave the change in state it brings.
Okay. Like smoking. You don't crave the cigarette itself.
You crave the relief or relaxation you associate with it. And dopamine is the key player here. Not just pleasure, but anticipation, desire, motivation to act.
That experiment with the rats, blocking dopamine, they lost the desire for sugar, even if they still liked it.
Yeah, it killed the motivation, the seeking behavior. Shows how critical that anticipation, that craving is.
So how do we make our good habits more attractive?
One great strategy. temptation bundling. You pair something you want to do with something you need to do.
Light.
Like, only let yourself watch your favorite trashy TV show while you're on the exercise bike, or only listen to your favorite podcast while you're doing chores.
Ah, linking the want and the need, based on Premack's principle.
Exactly. Use the more probable behavior, watching TV, to reinforce the less probable one, exercising.
Clever. And social norms play a huge role too, right? We imitate people.
Hugely. Clear identifies 3 groups we tend to copy. The close, family, friends, the many, the tribe, the majority, and the powerful, those with status.
The desire to belong is fundamental.
Absolutely. Studies even show things like your likelihood of becoming obese goes up if a close friend does. Peer pressure, positive or negative, is real. Remember those Asch conformity experiments?
Where people agreed with obviously wrong answers just because the group did.
Yeah. Shows the power of social pressure. We want to fit in.
And our culture dictates what's attractive too.
Definitely. We adopt habits praised by our culture because we want that sense of belonging.
So we can consciously reframe habits, make good ones seem more appealing, bad ones less.
Yes. Think about Alan Carr's stop smoking method. It works partly by reframing all the cues and associations, highlighting the benefits of not smoking, making it seem unattractive, change your perspective, change the craving.
And ultimately, these cravings, they're modern versions of ancient desires. Conserve energy, find food, connect, get approval.
Pretty much. Understanding those underlying motives helps you link your desired habits to those core drives, making them inherently more attractive.
Okay, we've got obvious and attractive. Law 3, make it easy, focuses on the response stage.
Yep, the actual doing of the habit.
This one hits home. Sometimes just starting is the hardest part. Clear distinguishes between motion and action.
He does. Planning, researching, strategizing. That's motion. It feels productive, but...
It doesn't actually produce results.
Right. Doing the thing, writing the words, making the sales call. That's action. And only action gets you there. He talks about the law of least effort.
We naturally choose the easier option.
Basically, yeah. Given 2 similar options, we'll gravitate towards the one requiring less energy. Think about why agriculture spread faster east-west than north-south.
Similar climates made it easier, less friction.
Exactly. Less friction. So the key is to reduce friction for good habits. Make them easier to do.
How? Like laying out workout clothes.
That's a perfect example. Unsubscribe from distracting emails. Tidy up your workspace immediately after using it. He called that resetting the room. Little things that remove obstacles for the next action.
And priming the environment, setting things up beforehand.
Yeah. Stock the fridge with healthy food, put it front and center, leave a book on your nightstand if you want to read more. Make the desired choice the path of least resistance.
And those little decisive moments throughout the day.
Don't underestimate them. Choosing stairs over the elevator, packing a lunch instead of buying takeout. These small forks in the road shape your future options. They add up.
What about the 2-minute rule?
Ah, brilliant one. Scale down any new habit until it takes 2 minutes or less. Read for 30 minutes becomes read 1 page. Go to the gym for an hour because do 1 push-up.
Just master showing up.
Exactly. Makes it less daunting. Get started. Often, once you've done the 2 minutes, momentum carries you further anyway.
And for bad habits, do the opposite. Increase friction.
Yep. Hide the junk food. Delete the social media apps from your phone. Make yourself log in via the browser. Add steps. Make it inconvenient.
And using commitment devices, pre-committing.
Right. Lock in future behavior now. Pay for the trainer session in advance. Set up automatic savings transfers. Use tech to automate good stuff. Block bad stuff.
Okay, last law, number 4. Make it satisfying. This is about the reward.
It is. The feeling you get after the habit, it tells your brain, hey, that was good. Do it again.
But the problem is delayed gratification, right? Good habits often pay off way later. Bad habits feel good now.
That's the core challenge. Our brains evolved for immediate rewards. Modern life often delays them. Saving for retirement, getting fit, takes time.
So his cardinal rule of behavior change. What's immediately rewarded gets repeated. What's immediately punished gets avoided.
Nail on the head. We need to find ways to inject some immediate satisfaction into good habits, especially those habits of avoidance, like not spending or not eating junk food.
How do you reward not doing something?
Make the benefit visible, tangible. That savings account labeled Dream Vacation, seeing the balance grow, feels good now. Tracking your progress is huge too.
Habit trackers. Tick in that box.
It provides immediate visual proof, a little dopamine hit of accomplishment. Don't break the chain.
And the never miss twice rule.
So important. You'll slip up. Everyone does. Miss one day. Fine. Get back on track immediately. Don't let one missed day become two, then three. That's how habits die.
And for bad habits,
Yeah.
make them immediately unsatisfying.
Yes. Accountability partners are great here. Use a habit contract. Formalize your commitment. Define the immediate negative consequence if you fail.
Like Brian Harris having to wear the rival team's hat.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That immediate, slightly embarrassing social penalty works. Adding an immediate cost, even a small one, makes the bad habit less appealing right away.
Just knowing someone's watching can be enough sometimes.
Often, yes. That accountability provides immediate social pressure to stick to your plan.
Okay, Clear also gets into some advanced tactics, like talent. Genes matter, but they don't seal your fate.
Right. They predispose you, sure. Michael Phelps was built for swimming, El Garouge for running. Their bodies gave them an edge.
So play to your strengths.
Focus on habits that align with your natural abilities. Doesn't mean you can't improve elsewhere, but lean into what comes a bit more naturally.
And the explore-exploit trade-off.
Yeah, finding the balance. You need to explore, try new things to see what works for you. But then you need to exploit to double down and refine the habits that are working.
Keep things challenging but doable. The Goldilocks rule.
Exactly. Habits need to be right at the edge of your current ability. Not too easy, you get bored. Not too hard, you get discouraged. That keeps you in the flow state.
Even masters get bored, though.
They do. Pushing past the routine, the monotony, is part of mastery. You have to keep finding ways to challenge yourself.
Which means reflection and review are critical.
Absolutely. Like that Lakers career best effort program, tracking stats, aiming for that 1% improvement,
Yeah.
or Chris Rock testing jokes,
Mm.
or keeping decision journals. You need to assess, adjust.
That idea of an annual review of integrity, reflecting on your identity and habits.
Super valuable. Step back. Ask, are my habits aligned with who I want to be? Make conscious course corrections. Don't just drift.
And finally, some deeper psychology points. Awareness comes before desire. Cravings are about the meaning we give cues.
Yeah. And happiness.
Yeah.
Maybe it's partly the absence of desire. Contentment from not constantly wanting to change your state. Just observing without craving.
Powerful idea.
And having a big enough why, strong motivation, can overcome almost any how. Curiosity being maybe more important than raw intelligence because it leads to action.
Emotions drive behavior.
Always. Every decision has an emotional undercurrent. And satisfaction often comes down to the gap between what you craved and what you got. Managing expectations is key.
Like Seneca said, being poor is not having too little but wanting more.
Exactly.
Okay, so bringing it all together, atomic habits. Small, consistent actions compound massively. Focus on systems, not just goals. Shape your identity by becoming the person you want to be. Let habits be the proof.
And use those 4 laws. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying for good habits.